greatest Sahaba, one of the most knowledgeable Sahaba. And his name Abdullah ibn Masud radiyallahu anhu ardah. Probably a lot of us heard of Abdullah Masud with the amount of knowledge he had. One of the things the Sahaba, they used to stay in line after the death of Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam, waiting for him to come out, so to learn from him. So they would not even disturb him. They would not knock on his door out of respect. He was a sheep herder. He was shepherd, ra'i ghanam, subhanallah. Was very, very young man in Quraysh. And he used to work for a man, his name Uqba ibn Abi Mu'ayt, one of the worst Sahaba. One of the worst kuffar. One of the worst kuffar. And they used to call him Ibn Abd. The son of Abd. But his name Abdullah ibn Masud. His father is Masud. And he heard about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But he was too busy with the sheep. Young kid, was not old at all, very, very young kid. And he heard about him and so, but he has no time to even to check on him. He had no time to see who is he. One day, subhanAllah, he was out every day. He leaves in the morning, comes back at night to Mecca. And of course, he was, like I said, working for this man. He was one of the leaders of Quraysh. And he, outside Mecca with the sheep, he saw two men, like adult. And they looked very tired, exhausted, thirsty. You could tell, looking at him, you could tell how thirsty, how tired, how exhausted. So one of them said, "Oh, boy, do you have any milk for us to drink?" He said, "Well, I do, but I cannot give you any because I didn't own it. I'm only working here." And he's not, there's no Islam yet, nothing. He has nothing to do with Islam. But honestly, subhanAllah, it's a beautiful characteristic for a person to have. Doesn't matter where you work, doesn't matter who you are dealing with. Whether Muslim or non-Muslim, honesty should be there. This is something big in our deen. So subhanAllah, he said, "I have it, but the thing is," he said, "we are so thirsty." I said, "I understand, but I don't have no milk for you. I don't own this stuff." He said, "Well, as you know, the milk gonna come from a nursing mother. She have to have babies, right? I mean, she cannot just go to any sheep milk. It has to be female, it has to have babies for the milk to come out." So subhanAllah, he said, so one of the men, he said, "Do you have any small sheep, never had a baby before?" I said, "Yeah." He looked at him like weird. "So what are you going to go?" So he touched the udder of the baby sheep. Of course, going to be female. That's he was rubbing on it till it became like a blow up, like this. SubhanAllah. Then the other man, he grabbed something like a stone, but has like some like in a curve, and it's something like look like a ball, and he filled it up. So he drank. Then he milked again. He drank his friend, and they gave the young man to Abdullah ibn Masud. Start drinking from a sheep. There's impossible for it to have a milk, and he was just looking at him, amazed. There's no way how that could happen. Miracle, subhanAllah, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And said, "Since when this happened? I never seen or experienced this in my life." So then, subhanAllah, when he's done, and the man was saying, "Bismillah, Bismillah, Bismillah," on the udder, subhanAllah. And then, subhanAllah, he told him, he looked at this, he said, "This must be a blessed man. This is a blessed man. This cannot be blessed. This has to be a blessed man." And he said, "Can you teach me that beautiful thing you used to say?" He said, the man replied to him, he said, you are learned child, or you are learned boy. So you know, I mean, easy for you to learn." They looked at him, they see how smart he was. They saw how smart this man is. And the man was Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But he had no clue that was him. He heard of him, but he doesn't know him. So that was so, and the man with him was Abdur radiallahu anhu ardah. But they left Mecca because they wanted like a break from Quraysh and the hardship of Quraysh and the mocking of Quraysh. They want to be away for a second, right? So when he saw the Prophet ﷺ, he fell in love with him. Look at Rasul ﷺ. See, right away you're going to love him. Right away he said, this right away, his heart with the Rasul ﷺ, he loved him. And the Prophet ﷺ loved Abdullah ibn Masud. So within no time, subhanAllah, of course, when they saw him, he thought there's something good about this young man. Within no time, this young man became Muslim. Within no time, right away, he saw Rasulullah and he became. So Rasulullah hired him. He quit from Uqba ibn Abu Mu'ayt and he hired him to work for him. And instead of like being sheep herder, he was serving the best man walking the face of this planet. Look, Allah, how raised his status to get there to serve the Prophet ﷺ instead of dealing with sheep. And subhanAllah, shows how lucky he was. Abdullah ibn Masud radiallahu anhu. Imagine, he was with Rasul ﷺ like his shadow. Wherever he goes, he's with him. He travel, he's home, he's eating, drinking. He prepare even if he wanna get wudu, he get him the water. If he want to make ghusl, he cover for him. Anything, subhanAllah. You want to take his shoes off, he help him out, bring his shoes, take his miswak, take his stick, whatever everything he have, right away, he have Rasul sallallahu, he have Abdullah to help him, like a shadow, subhanAllah, to him. And he told Rasul sallallahu, the Prophet sallallahu told him, you can come to my house at any time you want, no restrictions. You are a special young man to me, subhanAllah. So basically, he raised him like his own son. The Prophet ﷺ raised Abdullah like his own son, subhanAllah. So basically, became like a mini prophet. Every khuluq, every characteristic, the Prophet ﷺ, every manner, everything the Prophet ﷺ did, Abdullah was doing identical on the copy machine. Whatever the Prophet ﷺ did, he was copying the Prophet ﷺ. That was said, he's the closest to the Prophet ﷺ with his akhlaq, with his morals. Abdullah Masud. Imagine, he raised him like a son and a father. He just followed, and imagine, Rasul ﷺ is your teacher. Everyone gets affected by his teacher, no matter what. Doesn't matter how hard. You're going to take some of his teaching, his way, his approach, his characteristic, and all the stuff. SubhanAllah, there has to be something. Imagine your teacher, Rasul ﷺ, as not a teacher, like a father to him. SubhanAllah. So he learned everything from him, became one of the best Sahabah with the Quran. He is recited so, and one of the most knowledgeable Sahabah. Because right from the main source, right, they were direct to the main source, learned from Prophet ﷺ, and he had knowledge like no one else has it, subhanAllah. One time they said a man came to Umar radiallahu anhu in the Khilaf of Umar, and he told him there's a man in Kufa, he teaching us the Quran without looking at the Quran, by heart. Umar became so upset. He wanna grab the man, choke him, subhanAllah. As Umar, he was a tough man, radiallahu anhu. And he said, subhanAllah, what is this? What is this? Who is this man? He said, Abdullah Masud. He calmed down, he said, Abdullah Masud? No problem. He said, woe to you. Abdullah Masud, I don't know anyone in the Ummah of Muhammad knows about Quran more than Abdullah Masud. He is the one who knows about Quran more than anyone else in this Ummah. There's no problem. There's no one have the right more than Abdullah Masud to be the teacher, to be the one instructor. And he said, Umar, let me tell you about Abdullah Masud. Umar told him, the guy, the one who was complaining about Abdullah Masud. He said, subhanAllah, he said, Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, one time, and Abu Bakr and me, he said, the three of us, Abu Bakr and the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and Umar, he said, we were after Isha sitting or something, we were talking, then we walked out. And from a distance, we saw a man standing making salah, reading Quran. And Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he was listening to him, to his recitation. He's reciting in a way unbelievable. And he said, subhanAllah, if you want to listen to the Quran fresh, as the way it was revealed to me, listen to Abdullah bin Masud. Exactly the way the Quran revealed upon the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, فَلْيَقْرَأُهُ, or to follow or to apply the qira'ah of Ibn Abd. It's not like a bad name. This was like a famous name. Ibn Abd or Abdullah Masud. Then he said, Ibn Masud was making dua. Salah when you do qiyam at night, you make dua, right? Said, the Prophet ﷺ said, Sal tu'ata. Sal tu'ata. Ask and Allah will give you. Meaning, he was making dua and the Prophet himself was saying, Ameen, Ameen, Ameen. Imagine, he doesn't know. The Prophet ﷺ listened to him, he was making salah and dua. He heard him and he said, that's the Prophet, imagine you make dua And he, Prophet ﷺ still saying Ameen. So Umar, he ran the next morning to tell him that the Prophet ﷺ was making Ameen to your dua. And he said, well, Abu Bakr was here before you. He informed me about this before you. He said, I never raced with Abu Bakr and tried to compete with Abu Bakr with anything good unless he was ahead of me. Till the point, Umar, we don't want to talk about Umar, there's so many things to talk about Umar and Abu Bakr radiallahu anhuma. He says, till when he donated all his half his money, he said, now I'm going to beat Abu Bakr. He went there, he found Abu Bakr, gave up all his money. He said, no more. Abu Bakr, so he said, anytime I competed with Abu Bakr won. Radiallahu anhu. And this is the competition, this is a beautiful and honorable competition when it comes to the deen of Allah. He finished, for example, the Quran once, I want to finish it twice. He memorized surah, I want to memorize 2 surah. He comes to 2 salah, I want to come to 3 salahs. And the message. So this is the beautiful and honorable competition. And Abdullah Masud, he reached to a level of knowledge. He said, Wallahi, he's made an oath. Wallahi, ladhi la ilaha ghayruh. I know by the one there is no one deity, no one worthy of worship but him. Said, I know every ayah in the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I know where it was revealed and why, the reason for the revelation. And if I know someone know about any ayah in the Quran more than me, I will travel to him to learn from him. So whatever it takes, I will go reach out. But there's no one more knowledgeable than him, radiallahu anhu. SubhanAllah, one time they said, what they called a caravan coming from a distance at night time. Then Umar, he saw this. And Umar radiallahu anhu asked the man, he said, ask the people where they are from. Where they are from. They said from al-Fajj al-Amiq, meaning the deep valley. And he said, where are you going to? He said, Al-Bayt al-Atiq, meaning the old house, meaning the Kaaba. Kaaba, the other nickname for Kaaba, Al-Bayt al-Atiq, because Allah said in the Quran, إِنَّ أَوَّلَ بَيْتٍ وُضِعَ لِلنَّاسِ الَّذِي بِبَكَّةَ. The first house was ever built was the Kaaba. He said, the old house. Then he told him, ask the man, what's the greatest ayah in the Quran? He said, Allahu la ilaha illahu al-hayyul qayyum. La ta'khudhuhu sinatun wa nawm. He said, means Ayat al-Kursi. He said, the most just ayah and fair ayah. He said, Inna Allah ya'muru bil-'adl. Allah command us to be fair and just, subhanAllah. Wal-ihsan, and to be kind and deal with people with excellence. Wa ita'i dhil-qurba, and give the family and the need. He said, what the most ayah, the ayah, like, the ayah shows the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and how precise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَمَن يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ. So the man replied, فَمَن يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرًا يَرَى. If you do as much the weight of Adam good deeds, you will see it. And if you do as much the weight of Adam bad deed, you will see it. So he said the most scary ayah. Till the man tell him, what the most scary? So he replied back to him, said, ليس بأمانيكم ولا أماني أهل الكتاب من يعمل سوءا يجزى به ولا يجد له من دون الله وليا ولا نصيرا. He said, it's not up to you. It's not up to the people of the scriptures, the Jews and Christians. Everything you do, you see it ahead of you. And no one they're not gonna find any supporters beside Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He said the most ayah has hope in it. Shows the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because the situation is scary. If you can do everything, you're going to see ahead of you. Every word you said, every move you have done. You're going to see it. He said, قُلْ يَا عِبَادِ الَّذِينَ أَسْرَفُوا عَلَى أَنفُسِهِمْ لَا تَقْنَطُوا مِنْ رَحْمَةِ اللَّهِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَغْفِرُ الذُّنُوبَ جَمِيعًا إِنَّهُ هُوَ الْغَفُورُ الرَّحِيمُ. He said, oh my slave, do not despair of the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Never. The one who have excessive and in the sins. Don't despair of the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah will forgive all sins. He is the most merciful, the most forgiving. He said, Abu Umar, very smart. One of the smart said, is Abdullah Masud with you? They said, yes, this is Abdullah. So nobody can answer all these questions, subhanAllah. And Abdullah Masud, subhanAllah, he was a very small man. He was not a big guy. One time he was climbing the tree, and the wind shows his legs, how skinny they are. So the Sahabah, the wind almost going to blow him off the tree. He said, Sahabah starts laughing. SubhanAllah, they thought something funny. So the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, are you laughing at his legs? How skinny they are? He said, Ya Rasulullah, look at it, basically. And he said, Wallahi, his legs, in Jannah heavier than the mountain of Uhud. Which is how, I mean, there, subhanAllah. And Ibn Masud, even he's knowledgeable, one of the most knowledgeable people of the Quran and the fiqh and the sharia and halal and haram. And at the same time, he was mujahid, he was strong, tough, with all this, even skinny, but he was tough, subhanAllah. One time the Sahabah shows like how determined and how, I mean, faithful and how strong his iman is. One time the Sahaba met in Mecca. They were still weak, oppressed, subhanAllah. And he said, Wallahi, Quraysh never heard the Quran that I do from any one of us. Anyone willing to do that, let him hear the Quran. Besides, because only Rasulullah don't who was reciting the Quran. Besides him, none of the Sahaba. Everyone is afraid of that. He said, Abdullah Masud, I will make him hear. Tomorrow I'll read Quran in front of him. He's small, his tribe is small. So usually Quraysh depends how many supporters you have. You have like cousins, second cousin, third cousin, and fourth cousin, all like that tribe, because all from Quraysh, but they have, depends how big your sub-tribe. So, subhanAllah. So Ibn Masud said, Abdur said, no, please don't do it. You have a small tribe, a small guy, please. They're going to beat you up so bad. He said, I'm now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will protect me against them. So the next day, he read Surah Rahman, all of it, 2.5 pages. He said, is that Ibn Mas'ud ibn Mu'abid? Quraysh was, subhanAllah, was sitting there, and he did, recited by the maqam of Ibrahim, where the Quraysh used to sit close, right by them, sitting there, and he said, Allahu Akbar, started making salah, and loud, subhanAllah. I look at him, is that him? He said, may Allah destroy him. The kuffar was making dua against him. He said, I think he's reciting from the things Muhammad came up with. So the stuff made by Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then he got up, when he makes salah, they start beating him up so hard. Then he came all bloody face. Said, we told you not to go. Said, Wallahi, I never, that's why we were afraid. We wanted to go. Said, I never seen the kuffar more humiliated than this time. They beat him up. He's look at him. Basically, he was like, this is nothing. You fighting, all of you fighting because I'm reciting the Quran. Said, basically, they are so humiliated. They have no values or nothing. He didn't care. He said, if you want to, I can go back tomorrow. No problem. He said, no, enough. Bikaffi. Hasbuk, is enough, sufficient. They heard whatever, these things they hate. He lived all the way till the time for Uthman radiallahu anhu. Because he was young, he lived with the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam's time. And he lived the time of Abu Bakr, then Umar, then Uthman. And subhanAllah, the death came to him, radiallahu anhu. So Uthman came to him as his special man. And he said, what the most thing you worried about? He said, my sins, he told him. My sins. The Nabi, subhanAllah. He said, what do you wish for? He said, the mercy of Allah, the rahmah of Allah. He said, should I give you something? Anything you want? You haven't taken your dues because I owe you a lot. Because they used to give something for each Sahabi. He said, I don't need anything, subhanAllah. He said, probably your daughters, something for your daughters. You have kids there after you. He said, are you worried about the poverty of my daughters that are going to get poor? He said, I recite him to read the Quran, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is sufficient. SubhanAllah, then by the night time, Abdullah Masud radiallahu anhu, he died, and a huge janazah was performed for him, and the main people was, of course, the Sahabah, and Abdullah ibn Zubayr, Zubayr al-Awwam radiallahu anhu, performed salat janazah or offer salat janazah on him, inshallah. This is it, inshallah. هذا والله أعلم. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك.